My favorite thing to celebrate, to be honest, is the very first sale. I don't think there's anything better than that first sale because it's like you did what it took. You probably went through some hard to get there. And now it's just, you know, you could do it. There's evidence backing that you know how to do this. So let's just keep going.
Welcome to Direct Selling Shift, an exclusive podcast by DSN. I'm your host, Blake Mallon, and this is where direct selling high performers and experts share their most powerful shifts in mindset, skill set, and strategy to help you accelerate your business and amplify your impact. I challenge you to be present, open your mind, and let the shift begin. Welcome back to Direct Selling Shift. I feel so blessed to have such an inspiring guest on the show today. She completely transformed her career, actually came from more of a traditional path. I'm sure we'll get a chance to hear her story, a real estate appraiser that made the shift and now has become one of the top earners and top ranked leaders in her current company today. I think you're going to find she has a true, genuine passion for finding and mentoring aspiring leaders and guiding them to realizing their own personal goals and dreams. I love that she's a perpetual student. She really believes that there is always more to learn and actively seeks new relationships and embraces people with different talents and gifts to increase collaboration. She's a competitor, though. I will warn you, she likes to win and always sets a truly high standard for herself and has just the tenacity not to stop until she accomplishes what she set out to do. So get ready to tap into the wisdom and experience of someone who has not only made it to the top, but done it while lifting others up along the way. Please join me in welcoming our guest to the show, none other than Trisha Deming. Trisha, how are you doing?
I'm so good. What a great intro. Thanks, Blake. And as you're saying it, you know, I'm like nodding in the background, like, yeah, that sounds about right. So you got it right.
I love it. Well, I know this is the first time you and I are ever face to face. So we normally I have some sort of relationship, or maybe we had some messages. I know your founder had a direct relationship with DSN and said, you have to have Trisha on the show. So great to meet you. And this is going to be such a fun conversation.
Thanks. I agree. So yes, thanks again for having me. What an honor. And I am a big fan of just connecting and hanging out with other network marketers. So I can't think of a better podcast and platform to be on. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for taking time away from your family and your team to pour into us as a channel. And, you know, it's interesting as we're going into this year, there's obviously a lot of shift, kind of pun intended, in the world. But like my belief is there's going to be a lot of individuals that are going to be leaping into direct selling for the very first time. Like I really believe that with what's happening. So I want to rewind the clock. And I guess first, did I read 10 years? So just,
10 years?
So a decade?
Decade. I just had my 10-year anniversary. Our company celebrated 10 years and I started on day one. So I had my 10-year anniversary as well. So
I love that. So congratulations on the decade. That alone deserves celebration. And I feel like we're in a time today where there's so much distraction and it's so easy to just get off course or do a new course and on to the next thing and shiny. So 10 years, congratulations. And I know in that time, there's a lot of experience and we get a chance to learn from some of that wisdom in our conversation today. But let's rewind the clock. So a decade ago, you were in a real estate direction. An appraiser. Take me to that moment where you learned for the first time about this crazy world. What made you make the leap? Was it something that was like instant all in or something more gradual? And, you know, bring us into that moment. And what was that like? Is it something you had instant support from everybody around you? Because I know there's going to be a lot of people making that shift for the first time this year. And I want to learn where it all started for you.
Hey, love it. This is so great because this like just brings me back to those beginning days. And I really cherish those times because that was the shy, insecure, little nervous girl that heard about this opportunity and I was really at a point where I felt like I needed to make a shift. You know, yeah, again, that word. I didn't want to be an appraiser forever. I just thought, is this really my path? Is this what I'm going to do? Am I going to be out measuring houses and doing all these things at 60, 65 years old? I don't want to be. So it was a point where I'm like, I've got to pivot. I need an exit strategy. Not sure what it is. I definitely don't want to go back to school. I was not a great student. I hear that a lot actually in this industry of folks that will say like, school was not my thing. I struggled in school. It was tough. I just didn't want to do school again. So I thought, what could I do that would be fun? Heard about this business, this model, and I mean, I'm in Utah. There's a lot of people that do this in Utah. So it is one of those things that no, I did not get support. You asked, did you have support in the beginning? And it was one of those, as people heard, they're like, you're going to do what now? You're going to, huh? Are you sure? I don't know if this is great, especially knowing my personality. Like, are you sure this is the right move? I don't know. But I felt like, why not? I know this company's going to be successful for various reasons. We don't need to get into that, but I just had belief in the company itself and in the product itself. That's really the only thing I had going for me. I had no belief in myself. I had no belief. I didn't even know if the products worked. I just was excited about them. So I just thought, if I'm going to do it, now's the time. I have nothing to lose. I'll give it. My husband and I both were really aligned with, we'll give it a year. We'll give it a year and see what happens. And the thing that was so magical is that I didn't know what I was doing. This is the beauty part that you mentioned in the intro, that I really am a student. I love to learn. I didn't love the school part, but I love to just dive in and learn. And so I've always, from the minute I enrolled, I said, I'm just going to do whatever they tell me to do. I've got to just, because I don't know what I'm doing. So whatever they tell me to do, I will do it, even though I might not want to. And there were many times I didn't want to, reach out to your people and start doing this. I'm like, I don't want to do that. That does not sound fun. That just sounds a little scary. And I did it anyway. I did it scared. I did it wrong. I failed again, and I failed again, but I had committed to a year. And so I wanted to honor that commitment. And like you said in the intro, I like to win too. And so some of my first moments were massive failures, massive. So much so that, I mean, there was one night in particular that I was just sobbing in bed, sobbing, like, what have I done? And I had some friends in the beginning that kind of poked fun that, you're doing what? And I don't know if
So
that's
how long had you been in the business when you got to that moment? Number one, I'm
that
sorry
sobbing
to
moment.
hear that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that visual of like sobbing, I think a
Yeah.
lot of us can relate. Were you 1 weekend, 1 month in, 6 months in, and 1 year?
It
Like,
couldn't
when
have
did that
been,
come?
yeah, couldn't have been more than a month. It couldn't have been more than a month. And I'd already had friends like, I don't know. I don't know if this is the right thing.
What
And
brought you to that moment, if you don't mind me asking? What
no,
was it?
yeah, it's a great moment. We started out as a party plan. So I had
Mm-hmm.
had my first launch party, and these are the
Mm-hmm.
people that love me and they support me and they knew me and they were like, these are my people. They are going to buy from me, aren't they? And we do this event, and I had a few people show up, and I had one that was kind of heckling me, like, these
Oh
prices are
no.
outrageous. And I'm just like,
Like in the group, like in
in
front
the
of
group,
everybody?
in the group. And her mom's with her. And again, these are my people. These are the people that are supposed to be like, sure, here's $100. I'll buy your thing, or whatever it was, whatever the cost. I really thought I'd get some wins, and I walked away with zero sales that night. And this is my hot market. These are the people that are supposed to have my back, right? So
How did that make you feel in that moment? Like, what was going through your mind?
terrible. I mean, it was a 20-minute drive home. So I had it at, my mom was the one that hosted. I was driving home and I cried the whole way home. I'm just like, they are right. The people that told me I shouldn't do this are right. I have failed. I have lost. I'm done. Like, all the insecurities that I've had my whole life came rushing back of like, you're not enough. You're not smart enough. You're not outgoing enough. It just I couldn't have had more of a failure moment. Right.
But what kept you from quitting?
So that's the magical moment. I get in bed that night and I'm still crying to the husband, like, I'm a failure. I failed. I can't believe this. I'm so embarrassed. And I remember sitting there, and on my nightstand was our comp plan. I was like, what do I need to do to get to that next level? And it was at zero. Remember, I was at zero. And I pick it up and I'm like, well, I have two options. I can quit. And then all my friends that said, I don't know if you should do this, are right. They're right. I shouldn't have done it. Or I can keep going and just try to figure out, what do I need to do next? And so you can guess what happened. I said, what do I need to do next? So the next day I called my mentor. And I mean, that night I was already messaging our founder and CEO, and he's like, how did it go? And I was like, oh, that's all I could do was muster the thumbs down emoji. That's all I could handle. So the next day I called my mentor and just said, look, we need a new plan, a new strategy, because that did not work. So what do I need to do next? And just put one foot in front of the other, and eventually got a sale, my first sale. And I was like, okay, all right. And my favorite, I got my first paycheck, and it was $33.30. And I vowed I would never cash it. I'm like, I'm going to keep this because this is just the beginning. I know I'm going to do better than this. I know I'll get more than this. And sure enough, here we are 10 years later. And that was just the first of many. So it's been quite a journey, but it was a very pivotal moment that happened just in those first, probably 30 days, maybe 60 days, maybe the first 2 months, that it was like, are you in or are you out? Because you said you were in and you said it was going to be a year. So you've got a decision to make. Are you in or is everybody right? And it was the best moment of just being like, no. And since then I've proved everybody wrong. Even myself, I've proved myself wrong. Like, no, you're not a quitter, and you can do hard things. So anyway.
I'm smiling not because I'm happy you went through that moment and we're sobbing in the car into your husband, but I'm smiling. I know you're laughing now because I know you know this as well, but for all the listeners, most people's first launch event goes closer to what you described than what we all hoped, right? So for everybody out there, like, I mean, mostly, and I say this having been in the seat that I know you have, having helped a lot of people, right, go through those first moments. And I think more of the stories are closer to, I didn't get the help. It wasn't what I expected, right? It may not be a straight goose egg, but it's not the overwhelming standing applause that we would hope from those that love us. And I guess for everybody out there that's smiling, like, me too.
Yeah,
that's
been there.
Normal, right?
Yeah. And it was the first of many failures, right? Many moments of just like, what am I doing? How bad do I want this? So yeah, it was the first of many. So it was a good learning experience that kept me going too.
I love how you said, though, you committed to a year. That's something so simple that everybody out there, regardless of if you're just getting started right now or have been in your path for years, like commit to a year, right?
Yeah.
It's so often people are, don't set their milestones out long enough. But you also said something I want to dive deeper into, because you said, prove them wrong. And I can see the smirk on your face when,
totally.
So like, take me there, right? So it's like, if you were in that moment and it was, are they going to be right? Or am I going to follow what I believe? But the prove them wrong energy sounds like you were able to harness that and turn that into a positive. Take me there.
100%. Yes, 100%. Because I care a lot what people think. I think everybody does, right? Everybody cares. And so 1 month in, they're like, "Oh, are you still doing that thing?" No, I quit. Like that, I couldn't even wrap my head around that being the possibility of me quitting at something so quickly. And so I harnessed that, I channeled it, and I'm like, you just watch me, have success. I mean, I'm that kid, like I said, school was a struggle. I was never the top in anything. I never got spelling bee. I was the first one eliminated. I had a teacher that asked if I should be in resource. Maybe we go to the resource classes and check that out, and tried to learn a second language. That did not work. I mean, I was that kid that just didn't ever really, things did not come easy ever, and just never really felt like I was enough. I think everyone can relate to that in some degree too. So having a moment to be like, I actually can control this. This isn't a test I'm taking next Thursday that I have to study for that I'll probably fail anyway. It's like, no, this is life test. This is a life test. And life, I can do pretty well. Like I've done pretty well for myself. I've got great friendships, and I feel like I have street smarts. Let's put it that way. I feel like I've always had street smarts and kind of understood how to read a crowd. And so I'm like, I can do this, can't I? Anyway, so I was able to harness it, back to your original question, but it just fueled me. It was the fuel I needed every time something got in my way. I was like, no, watch me and get to that year mark, and then just reevaluate. And I had visions of things, of like taking my friends on a trip, and I'm the one that's paying for it, or I'm taking them all out to dinner. I thought, I mean, because up to that point, we were living a paycheck to paycheck life, just like most. We did not have extra for anything. And our trips were pretty simple, driving in the car with our kids to different places, not flying to cool destinations. And I thought, not only am I going to show them, but I'm going to be the one taking them places and doing fun things with them. So it just became the fuel that kept me going.
You think that energy still fuels you today? Like if you were to check in with yourself right now, and obviously you're 10 years later, you're at an entirely different place, successfully, financially. Are you still driven by that same kind of like, prove them wrong, I can do this energy, or has your internal drive shifted over the years?
It's definitely shifted over the years. I still have it to a degree because I still care a lot what people think. In fact, it can be my biggest detriment too. It can actually impact me the opposite way, which it has in my 10 years of business. There's been moments that I care so much that I've let people run over me. And I let them make decisions that I know were not right, know were not a good idea, but I just care too much. And I've had to learn to let some of that stuff go too. So, yes and no, but I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned. But more than anything, yeah, it's kept me where I am today, but I have different focus. I really, really, really enjoy watching others succeed. I'm really happy where we are. I have to continually work on vision and vision casting because I'm really happy. And it's hard to think about wanting more. I want it for my team. I want it for other people. I want them to see what I've seen, do what I've done, and have the dreams that they're dreaming about, So I practice consistently working on vision to help that expand because I'm at a spot where I'm really thrilled. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but
Of course, I'm always fascinated by what moves people, right? And I guess different people have different things that hit them in different ways, right? We all are driven maybe by different things, but I think the chip on the shoulder energy, not only does it work, I see that as a common pattern for a lot of achievers in this industry. So for those of you guys that are listening, there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you're aligning with, you're shaking your head and smiling with everything that Trisha's saying right now, like it's okay. I learned early in my career that your haters can actually be your action motivators.
for sure.
And that's what I'm hearing you say is like, okay, they gave you that moment. They were haters or hecklers in that moment, but they actually, in hindsight, moved you to action that led you to where you want to go. So even though it sucks in that moment, and we wish that weren't the case, they're actually there maybe to test you. Do you really want this? Are you really ready to make a decision? Are you going to quit or are you going to go? And it fuels you. So I love that. And I love the vision you just said of kind of where you want to go. So fast forward. So 10 years, obviously you're a top earner, top achiever, leading a massive community, a very different place for you and your family than where you were, that moment, that night with your husband. Outside of money. So obviously all of that comes with a different level of financial abundance. But I'm curious, outside of the financial side, the prosperity side, what else are you grateful for or feel blessed for that this industry has done for you and your family outside of the bank account?
Yes, this is one of my favorite questions to answer because it is the most impactful. I think that's why I'm so happy with my life right now because I completely changed the things that I've learned about myself. That story I was telling myself that I'm not smart enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not enough, have completely been broken down. Those walls have been broken down, and I'm just a totally different person. I'm a better wife, I'm a better mom, I'm a better friend. I care deeply about people, and I've just been able to realize that those achievements, those degrees, those things don't define you. And it's been a wonderful exercise, even as a mom now, having kids that are teenagers and one in college now, and being able to share as they struggle. They share some of the same struggles I do in school. And I'm like, look at me. Do I look like I'm struggling? I get where you're at. I understand that math test was hard. And do you think that look at where I am now? Do you think I had to have the A+ to get where I am now? It's just taught me so much about myself and the skill sets that I have that I can bring to the table that just add value in other ways, not necessarily the education wise. It's still a story, as you can tell, like it's still a story I have to work with and tell myself like, no, it's okay. I still struggle with the idea of like, I wasn't that kid, and my kids are not those kids either. But I really appreciate what it's taught me about myself more than anything, about myself and just relationships and communication and conflict resolution and just so much that I've learned as being a mentor to others of what makes other people drive and get excited. And so just self-development in a big, to put that in a big package bow, it's really just self-development that I can't, it's completely changed our life. I'm grateful for that more than anything. I think that's why the money thing, it's like, I need to cast vision for what's bigger and grander out there because I'm just so happy with the outcome of us personally and financially. So,
Well, I mean, we know that's real just by the way you're making us feel. Like you're glowing, you're lighting up, the energy you're transferring, right? Who you have become. So I think that's awesome. And what's funny is it's probably one of the most underrated and underpromoted parts of what we do. Like there's not many companies or consultants, distributors, promoters that are out leading saying, hey, come join this. You're going to become the best version. You're going to learn this and become a better mom. Like it's just usually not the first conversation. What is it specifically? So we all have products and services we're bringing to the world, right? We all know there's a financial rewards plan for sharing it with people we care about. That's a commonality on everybody listening to this, I'm guessing right now. But if we were to go down that self-development, that self-improvement conversation, like What specifically has allowed you to become the person you are and that you're describing? Like, was there a certain like regimen or protocol or routine or personal growth program, or was it books or podcasts or events or like, what did that look for you that was the highest impact to you becoming who you are today?
Yeah, great question. So I was at a point where I was a little stuck in the business and just wondering like, God, sitting at the same rank, sitting at the same pay scale, like what do I do? And I started to dabble in the self-development world. Up to that point, it was probably 3 years in. Up to that point, I was just kind of doing the thing. Like, you tell me what to do, I'll do it. Tell me what to do, I'll do it. And feeling stuck. And I have a friend that's been a wonderful mentor in my life too. That's a coach. She's does a lot of different things. And so I started seeing some of the things she was posting and it resonated. I was like, okay, so I started just absorbing some of the things she was saying and talking about. She put on an event here in Utah that I attended, and Jack Canfield was there. He was a guest. And that was really my first experience with books outside. Like, really, I'm not a reader. I don't love to read. So, understanding that he wrote a book and he authored a book and this world of self-development. And one of the questions he asked was, who do you surround yourself with? Who are the people that you hang around? Make a list. So I wrote a list, I was writing down these people, and he's like, hey, now rate those people. Are they positive? Are they a positive impact in your life? Are they a negative impact? What's kind of the vibe they're giving off? These are more my words than his, but you get the idea. This was years ago. And I was quickly able to see that a lot of the people I hang around are negative, really negative. And
Good.
so
Give us specifics there. So let's say we do this exercise. You're talking about your circle, right? Your environment. It sounds like your peer group. So when you say people that are negative, like, what does that look like?
Yeah, even people on my team, complainers, complain about everything. Right. Everything's victim. Everything's going wrong. Everything's woe me. So it was friends at the gym, friends in my community, friends, not so much my high school friends. I'm still really close with my high school friends, if you can believe it. But even some of my people I was working with, people on my team, just so negative and just never. And so it suddenly was like, oh, that's all I'm hearing all day long. Is I can't find a sale, or I can't find a new distributor. I can't do this. And this is so hard. And I can't lose the weight. I can't just, my kids are crazy. Everything you could imagine. You're just hearing this all day long. And my husband's actually really positive. So he's like the one that was like, okay, at least I got one, my parents too, my family's amazing. But it was just a real wake up call of like, man, these are the people I spend the most time with. And they're just not inspiring me to be a better version of myself.
Did you actually write them out? Like, was this an exercise, like names on a list?
Yes. And you name it like 1 to 10, scale 1 to 10, 10 being like, they are like high vibe, high, and 1 is like, ooh, their energy is like, ooh. So,
and then what do you do with that list? So like if these people, for many of us, I know they're going in their own list in their head and they're like, oh man, these are like my friends, my family members, my neighbors. Right. What do you do?
It's tricky. You just put boundaries. You put boundaries in place. So you start to limit. And I've heard it said in different ways now since I've, been more into this lately or over the years, that like, who's at your circle? Like, if you could only hang out with 8 people, who are those people at that circle? So you just start putting up boundaries of, it doesn't mean you don't love them, you don't care about them, but you're not going to push mountains and move everything on your calendar to have dinner with them. Right. It's like, oh, it's not going to work. Maybe next. So you just start limiting the time that you spend with them. And if it's family, that's a little bit trickier, right? I'm fortunate that that's not an issue for me. Family's amazing. They really are. So I don't have that issue. So I can't give advice to that, but I would just say, again, boundaries.
What advice do you have for that person that maybe takes your advice literally? Like maybe literally right now, you guys draw your T-chart, people that take energy, and you have the names, but you got the person that's like, no, but I want to help these people so much. What advice would you give?
Oh, I would say you can't help people that don't want to be helped, first of all. If they're not in a space where they really want to change and evolve, then they're always going to frustrate you. They're going to be frustrated because they're stuck. They're totally stuck in their mindset, in their space, in their headspace. So you can't help them, and you're not their therapist. I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach. I would consider myself a coach now, right? With all that I've done in the past, but even that, you can't really coach someone that doesn't want to be coached if they're not wanting to change, if they don't see it themselves. So I probably would just love them where they are and offer just, hey, if I don't know, that's a tricky one, but I would just love them where they are, and put boundaries that you're not spending every waking moment or moving your schedule around to accommodate their schedule.
I love that. Go to the other side of the chart. So let's say we kind of take the inventory of our circle. we follow your advice. We're creating boundaries, reducing time, right? Love them where they're at. So what about the other side? How do we find people that aren't that? How do we find
Ah,
people that lift
yes.
us up?
And that's
Anything that you
truly,
did or anything that you share?
yes, yes. In fact, that's where things started to shift immensely because at this event, that was the wake up call. I need to hang out at a different table. I need to start hanging out with people that have what I want and beyond, right? That was part of Jack's advice as well, too, is if you want something, start hanging out with those people. What do they do? Where do they hang out? Where do they go? Where do they shop? And so I started just paying more attention of where, who are some other top network marketers? Like, where are they? Who are they? Where do they hang out? And I started asking people, I started going to networking groups and, do you know anybody in direct sales? Do you know any top distributors? And I started calling them. I started asking them, tell me about your daily routine. What do you do each day? And I found a mastermind that I was able to join, which was life-changing. But even more than that, my first most life-changing event was a retreat that I went to with top earners and top money makers in different industries, and went to that and just surrounded myself for days with these people. And up to this point, I'm still telling myself the story of, well, I'm stuck. I'm still stuck. And I'm still in that headspace of like, am I really cut out for this? Am I really good at this? I've got this team, we're kind of budding, but we're not really growing very fast. And am I really the leader that's meant to lead this team? I don't know. Still a lot of self-doubt. So I go to this retreat and I'm surrounded with other top earners, people that were making, hundreds of thousands of money a month, a month. Like one gal in particular, 80,000 a month was her check. And I was like, what? How is this possible? Every month you're making 80,000 or more. And she's like, yeah, yep, that's where I'm at. And after hanging out with them for 4 or 5 days, I'm like, I'm no different. I'm no different than these people. We're the same. They're just a few years ahead of me. And I was able to really hone in on, again, some of their morning routines, their evening routines. How do they treat what do they do to keep their customers happy? What do they do to keep their teams engaged and thriving? So that was super helpful to get some ideas, but I'm like, we are the same. There's nothing that sets them apart from me other than just a few years of experience. So that was just a huge light bulb of like, suddenly that belief in myself was finally like, okay, I think I can do this. I actually think I can do this. So, and it just changed everything from there. It just like totally took me in a different trajectory for sure.
It's so powerful and so true. And just because you have certain relationships in the past doesn't mean that all those relationships have to be your relationships for the future or at the same extent or at the same level. And it's always been said, but you want to upgrade your life, upgrade the power of your peer group. And that can happen with exactly what you said, like the T chart. Here's the list the names, reduce, go find. And it's, there's so much access today, through conversations. Like, I mean, look at you sharing your wealth of knowledge, right now. So I hear peer group, right? So like a personal growth plan, becoming who you are. You started with shift your circle. Anything else? Is there anything else that you did or you share with your team now that maybe we had a guest in one of our last episodes that he called it a stay stuck story. I'd never heard that, but has a story where they're stuck. Anything else you're kind of giving or sharing to say, hey, here's what you recommend to grow?
So another thing is the morning routine. I've heard other guests talk about this that you've had too, is their morning routine. That shifted everything for me in 2019, right before crazy pandemic hit. I worked with a coach and she wanted to evaluate my days. What do my days look like? How do I start my day? What do I do during the day? And it was a very clear indication things needed to change, and morning routine being one of them. And so she helped me get on a schedule of what do I do in the morning, take care of my own needs, take care of me before I take care of the rest of the family and team and everything else. That shifted everything too, because suddenly I was more in control of my days, and it wasn't my day controlled me. It was I controlled the day. And I got those essential things done in the morning that really just, again, set the tone, set the mode, set my attitude. And there's still moments I wake up and I'm like, kind of waking up like wrong side of the bed. And what do? I get back to the gratitude, get back to the devotional, get back to the listening to something that nourishes my mind, and it changes everything, and then I get a good workout in, and then I'm off and ready to come home, take care of the kids, get them off to school, see them off. That was a big deal to me too. I really always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That was my number one thing. So just being able to be there for them and be all in. I'm not checking my phone. I'm not checking my messages. I'm not on email. I don't check anything till 9 a.m. That's my first moment of getting to the computer or my phone. My phone charges in another part of the house at night. Like, I'm just a big believer in how you power up. I've heard it as power up in the morning and how you power down in the evening. And I'm pretty big stickler on those two things. So
You just gave us a couple things. If you were to, for those that are like super present right now and maybe even taking notes or saying, hey, I want to grab some of that. Like what's your must? What are those habits in the morning that these are the things you want to make sure you do every day? Like what's that list look like?
So must is I don't check my phone. I don't check any messages. I don't check anything. I wake up and do my gratitude. So I do that in a journal, gratitude journal. I do a little devotional. So read some thoughts of the day that just get me closer to my higher power, whatever that looks like for you. So for me, it's God. I just want to connect with God and just be, mindful of that. Then I listen to either a podcast or books. I really am a big fan of reading books. Didn't used to be, right? But now I've really changed that because there's so much you can learn from others. It's typically a book, an audio book that I'm listening to for at least 15, 20 minutes. And part of that is on my way to the gym too. So I'm like getting ready, I'm listening on my way to the gym. And then I do a warm up at the gym where I'm listening. And then I'll also often, not always, listen to a podcast after. So I'll listen to that book and then listen to a podcast, or just really good uplifting music, and then have a killer workout. It's my favorite part of the day. Just do a good workout and then come home, eat a nutritious breakfast, and then kids are up and it's like, let's go, let's get you ready. So those are really like the non-negotiables. If I miss that, it's very evident. It's pretty obvious. The only day I don't is Sunday. I do take Sunday off, but I go to church, so I connect there, and I still do the gratitude, but I'm not like getting the hard workout. It's a rest day for me, and rest in all areas. I'm a big believer in rest as well. Like today is a rest day for me. We had month end. Whenever you're listening to this, you know what month end is like, right? So today we happen to record this on the 1st. And month end was nuts. And I knew today just needed to be a rest day. So I took the dog for a walk. I've been listening to good wonderful things for my mind. I've been doing a ton of vision casting and working on another vision board. So you need rest days too. So that's an essential as well, is making that rest day.
You're giving us your growth operating system. And I love that you've taken all these things that are important to you, that you feel work for you, and just made them a habit, made them a daily habit. I love your language, non-negotiable. And for everybody listening, those things might work for you, right? That might be your list, or maybe some of those you grab and you wrap into your own operating system, right? But I think the main point is have some sort of habit that's going to help you work toward a better you, right? Work toward personal growth. And you're saying, because we haven't talked at all really about business, Trisha, you're saying all this mindset stuff, growth stuff, peer circle stuff, gratitude, this helps business.
Yeah, I know. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? It really does, because you are what you attract, right? So if I'm in a better state, people are attracted to that. So when I'm out and about, people want to know, what are you up to? What are you doing? Or when I'm online, I meet some people online that are like, what are you doing? What are you up to? When you're in a better state, people are attracted to that. I've seen it play out in my life time and time and time again. So I had someone just join my team 2 days ago that found me out of nowhere, and they just saw the video I put out there and they're like ready to jump right in, and you just bring that to you. And I'm a firm believer that it happens that way. It can be easy. We make it harder than it needs to be, I think, most of the time.
I love that. It's like when you go into your own personal momentum, right, in life, you inspire other people to do the same. And it does create that energy. It creates that attraction. Obviously, it's working for you and everything you're doing. I do want to shift gears on a business front. Obviously, the theme of this show is really around the shifts that we're facing as a channel, the shifts that we're facing beyond the channel, right? Really in the world today across all sectors. And I'm curious, you're now a decade in, you got a unique perspective, right, of everything you've gone through over 10 years. You've seen where the industry has gone over the last 10 years, where the world has gone over the last 10 years. You today, what kind of shifts, right, are you really seeing today, whether it be a mindset or we can go to skill set or strategy? What are the most significant shifts you're seeing in your team and community today that maybe are a little different than they were 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think some of the shifts I'm seeing more are building the relationship to me has never been more important. And I think it's even because I would attribute it to the world shutting down and creating a lot of chaos then, that people are craving connection. They're craving community. They're craving a place to belong. And life is so darn expensive, right? Everything has gone up. So I think they're craving a way to just feel like they can make ends meet. So I'm feeling that shift more than ever. Maybe I'm just more aware of it now. There's more awareness to it. But I'm seeing in our team is thriving because we really value the personal connection. We're doing everything we can to build those relationships and create longevity, just meeting them where they are, whether they want to come in and earn a lot or a little bit, whatever it is, we just want to meet them where they are and just really foster those relationships, help them feel like they belong. I think that's been a shift, at least for me personally. I'd be curious to poll my team and see what they think, but that's what I'm hearing a lot more is just the relationship aspect of like, people just want to be together. Our convention, they want to be there. They're so excited to be there and be together. So,
I mean, I don't think that's just you. I think all of us, if we check in, we feel that. I mean, there's nothing like having something quote unquote taken from you in order to restore its value or its importance or its meaning, right? And the pandemic period, like it took a lot of that away. And I think the world came out saying, wow, we got to really value and appreciate connection, community, all those things. I get that maybe that starts with an intention. I hear in your language, it's kind of a focus and awareness and intention of, I heard relationship, connection. What does that look like though, when it comes to like tactics, right? So how do you translate that into building your business? Like, where does that connection, those relationships start? How do they get fostered? How do you create a deeper connection? Like, what are the things you and your team are doing in order to kind of make that a priority today?
yeah, I think a lot of it comes to onboarding, like setting expectations and onboarding before you even enroll somebody. Like I've prided myself on the fact that we're not just enrolling someone for a number. We're not just saying, hey, we need to up our numbers by 10%. Let's just take anybody with a heartbeat. I really pride myself on, is this a good fit? Is this something you even want to do? And then I heard it said as what's the cost of winning to do that? So if this is what you want, what do you want after, what kind of income do you want? Where do you want to get from here? And what does it cost to even get that? And those conversations we're trying our best to have before we even enroll. So there's no surprises. So that when they come on, they're like, okay, I know exactly what I need to do. I've been told it's been outlaid for me and I know exactly what that looks like. And it helps build those relationships from the beginning because it's more about them, not about you. It's like, what do you want? How can we help you and support you in that role? And this is what it looks like. And so there's not really funny business, I feel like there's been enough people out there that have said they've been bait and switched or this isn't what they thought they were getting into. And it's given the industry a bad name in some cases. And so I really have loved doing that and just mentoring the team to do the same, just what do you want out of this business? And here's how you get there. And I know many, many, many mentor that way, but it's just been more of a realization lately. And it's just helped build those relationships. It's about them, not about us.
I think that's an important point. I had the privilege of working alongside John C. Maxwell. You probably know the name, big author for a number of years. And like, he taught me so many lessons, but one that you just reminded me of is expectations up front. He would always say expectations up front. And I love that you're having just open, honest conversation even prior to enrollment. That's novel. So that way it isn't that bait and switch. What about after they've enrolled? So you had those onboarding conversations, you kind of know what they want. What's the next step of like deepening that relationship look like within your team?
We love to figure out what got them here, right? Why are they excited? Because again, that's going to help them see that when they have those failures, like I did in the beginning, what's going to get you through that? Because they will. It's just a matter of time when their best friend says, no way, you're crazy, whatever it is, right? They're going to have a moment. And so what's going to keep them, that's that vision. It's casting that vision. What's possible? What can this business do for you? And reminding of them of that when things get hard. So it doesn't always work, right? I'm not going to say that every person every enroller that I have is just rocking it. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And I wish it did. But in most cases, we really understand what it is that's driving them from the beginning so that we can really foster that throughout the time and celebrate every time they hit a little baby milestone, celebrate together and again and again and again every time they hit a new one. So I think that's what's encouraged the continuation of that is just celebrating I always say my favorite thing to celebrate, to be honest, is the very first sale. I don't think there's anything better than that first sale because it's like you did what it took. You probably went through some hard to get there. And now it's just, you could do it. There's evidence backing that you know how to do this. So let's just keep going. Let's keep going.
I love this. And for everybody listening, like this is literal, right? Like Trisha's giving you her playbook to build a massive community and become a top earner. And she's telling you, in her opinion, relationship and connection right now is the highest value. And that starts with expectation up front. Are we having those conversations, right? And understanding why somebody's here at the very beginning. When they have their first sale, are you celebrating them to the level of excitement that Trisha's giving us, right? Like, are you really doing that to create depth of connection? I think this is not just stuff that goes in one ear and out the other. It's not just conversation. Like, this should be implemented in your strategy. We're in a world today where so much of the conversation, this channel, is all around social media, technology, branding, attraction, where if you rewind the clock, this industry has been built for 100 years before all that existed. It's been built on in-person. It's been built on relationship, like you're saying. It's been built on community. But it's almost like, as a channel, if I were to generalize it, the pendulum swung. If it went from like what used to be entirely in person and kind of quote unquote offline by necessity through now technology, there's a lot of people we've had even on the show that do it almost 100% on social media and technology. And I know you have kind of an interesting take and an interesting philosophy on what we're talking about here, relationship and the importance as it goes. Elaborate on that, like your opinion on social media, technology, and how that intersects with this conversation of relationship and connection.
Yeah, I love it. Because if you were to follow me, you would see like, she's not really out there. What is she doing? What is she posting? I don't really do a whole lot out there. I do some, but honestly, I have built my business on building relationships. So I can put things out there and meet people online. And I love to move it to an appointment based, that belly to belly, because I've been at it 10 years, as we've said, we've established that. And I have customers that are still ordering from me 10 years later. My customer base is chock full of people that have been ordering from me for years and years and years. And guess who gives me referrals? Those customers, years and years and years. My whole business is built on that. So I just feel like there's such an opportunity to just take care of the ones that we have and understand. But I will say too, I recognize that social media has a massive impact, massive. That's just hasn't been my strategy because I've done exceptionally well without utilizing it. I have a lot of team members that have, though, and they are killing it on social media. I just would argue that what are you doing after to build that relationship, to take them from a stranger to a raving fan? Someone that loves you, will work with you, will refer people to you, may even join your team later. What are you doing after the enrollment? That's where I think it could be a missing link, because if you're enrolling 100 new people and next month 79 of them cancel, was that really effective? Was it really helpful? I'm just in it for the long term. I'm in it to win it, as you know. So I just think that there's so much value that you could add by creating some sort of a system for yourself after that you find these folks on social media, to build those relationships and make it be more about them. Again, going back to what can we do? What do you have that can help support them? How can you serve them? I think it'll give you long-lasting customers in that case.
So you're saying if I'm someone right now, we're in 2024, which is still crazy to me, flying by. I am not overly tech savvy. Maybe I play around on social media socially, sporadically, but I don't have a following. I don't have a brand. I'm still learning all the things. Are you telling me if that's me right now in 2024, I can have success in this channel?
There is no doubt in my mind that you can have success in this channel. And the reason why I know that is because you're looking at someone that has really utilized social media about this much. And for those that are listening, I'm like doing a very small pinch, very small pinch. So it's not been my strategy. I have used it, yes. I have posted here and there, yes. But the majority of my relationships come from friends, from networking, from just getting out and about and just meeting people and showing that you care, that's really how it's been.
What's the big strategy of today's conversation? Care. I mean, that's the vibe I'm getting from most of what you're putting out, is just like genuinely care. And it goes a long way. I'm going to go back real quick. You just said you've had customers for 10 years and I've had customers referring customers. I know everybody caught that. How many of you would love to have customers that have been with you ordering, right, loyal for 10 years? Take us there, because there's got to be something. I know you didn't just sign them up and they're ordering 10 years later on SmartShip. Like, do you have a system? Is there a set of steps? Do you have some sort of like CRM? Like, what do
Yeah,
you
good
do
question.
to make sure you're holding customers and servicing customers for that long?
Yeah, good question. And I have a little bit of all of it. It wasn't pretty in the beginning, right? I told you it took several years before I went to that retreat and learned what other people were doing. But I took what I learned from those wonderful other network marketers that really categorize their customers into and kind of a funnel, right? You've got your top tier that are ordering monthly or maybe quarterly. They spend a lot of money with you. What are you doing to thank them? And it was suggested that maybe you invest 10% back into them with every dollar. So say you make $30 on an order. So put 10% back in, put $3 back into them, and I save it over time. So over a year's time, I'll put all that money back into them and send them one of our best-selling products, or I'll send them a gift card to places. I've done Starbucks gift cards. I've done a little bit of everything. I reinvest every customer. I reinvest back into them at least once a year, and they always get a thank you note at least 3 times a year. I'm better sometimes than others. Like around the holidays, they'll get a Christmas card from me with my family. They can see my family. Like, this is the family you're supporting. Thank you for your business. I just try to do as much as I can to show I'm a human. You're a human. It's human to human connection here, just to show I'm a real person too. So that's the main thing, is reinvesting back into them. I mean, how many listening? I would love for you to think, any of you that have been in a customer from another network marketing company, how many of you are getting regular thank yous or gifts from your rep? I can tell you, I don't. I have one that I have ordered from for 7 years now. 7 years. I've added it up in my head because I just can't believe that I haven't ever, just knowing what I do, right? I'm like, I use the products because I love them, not because I want a thank you gift. Let's be clear. I want to make sure that's clear. I just think it's fascinating that I've spent over $8,000 in my 7 years with this person, and I have never once even gotten a thank you note. What I get all the time is 20% off flash sale. Don't miss out. This little thing is on sale. I don't want to name any names, right? I'm going to protect them, but this thing is on sale. You can buy this. Don't forget. Or I don't get anything else. And it's just surprising to me, it's a missed opportunity, because if I have an opportunity to say, you got to get with this person, they're the best. Is that the person I'm sending my people to? Probably not. So I think there's just a ton of value in connecting and doing what you can to show you're human, you appreciate them, and it could be as easy as a note. It doesn't have to be a gift. I just choose to do a gift because I feel like I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that they're a customer, and I also think it's a great opportunity for them to sample something else that they might not be buying anyway.
I love it. I'm smiling. You're gonna have to tell me, and I'll make sure that they get a link to this show recording, and you're gonna get that thank you note soon. All kidding aside, has nothing to do with that person. What you're putting
Right.
out is absolutely truth. And I caught kind of two things there. One, I love that you're doing personal incentives, right? This isn't company
Right.
promotions, right?
Right.
That are doing the free this or invest. You're treating your business like a business and reinvesting back into your customer base like
For
a
sure.
business.
Mhm.
And so often there's not a lot of people that are taking that much ownership in their business. They're always waiting for the company, HQ, the corporate team, right, to throw the carrot. So I love that, but even more so than the incentive, I think you're right. I think in today's day and age, like the high touch, right? The high touch, the caring, the show them you're human, like that is so rare today.
Yeah.
That the value of that, I think, is 10 times any promo code. Are there any other shifts that you're really feeling right now, or making sure you're leading your community through that you feel are relevant building in 2024?
Honestly, it's just a broken record. It really is just, for me, everything I'm teaching is building a relationship. Make an appointment at any possible time. It does take more time. It does. Here's a perfect example. Can I give an example of one?
Of course.
This is my favorite example that I share with my team. I had someone that gave me a referral for a product. They said, this customer wants this product. Will you connect with her and get her this product? So I could have just sent her the link. It would have been so easy. I got her number. I knew exactly what she wanted. I could have sent her that link, but I instead texted her and said, hey, can we have a conversation? I would just love to get to know you better. And I got your name from so-and-so. And she said, sure, yes, let's talk. So got on the phone, we talked for an hour. We just totally connected, hit it off. And I got to learn all about the situation and what products would be the best. As we were talking, I could hear about 10 different products that would benefit the situation. So I said, "Are you open to some suggestions?" And she said, "Yes, absolutely." So at the end of the day, it was a $300 order. If I would have just texted her the link, it would have been $24.99, a $24.99 product, turn into a $300 sale. So fast forward a month later, I'm staying in touch. Again, I don't just get a sale and I'm like, "See ya, bye, never want to talk to you again." I'm staying in touch. How are things going? How are the products? Are you liking them? Is everything going well? I want to make sure she's happy. This is about her, not about my paycheck. It's about her. I saw a need and I helped satisfy the need with products I knew would help. So fast forward a month later, she loves the product so much. She's like, "I think I might want to do this. This could be fun. I want to do," because I'd already opened that window before, like, "Hey, and by the way, you could do this if you want. Pay attention, what I'm talking about. This is something you could do too." So planted the seed, followed up with her that month later. She signed up. She's one of my fastest runners right now. It'll be her year anniversary this month. I could have just sent her the link, guys. I could have just sent her the link and she would have bought that thing and maybe would still be a customer now. I don't know. But instead, after spending 1 hour on the call, I have one of my fastest runner leaders right now, just killing it, all because I was willing to just do the harder thing. Sometimes the harder thing is the better thing, right? So I'm just super grateful. And that's what I teach time and time again. You will never regret spending more time with a person, even if they don't become a customer. Because in my opinion, if you were able to help them in some way, or at least just help them feel heard, then didn't we win? Then we won, right? So I'm a big stickler for just build those relationships. I don't know if that's a shift. I think that's really old school, to be honest, but it works. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I wasn't still implementing that today. So
Such a good story. And I want to highlight something I felt in those words, because I know everybody listening could say, okay, well, instead of sending a link, I'm going to do a call and I'm going to have conversation about a broader product menu and I'm going to get a higher order. And that might be true. But what I'm hearing in your story, and quite frankly, everything we're talking about today, for you, it's an actual intention.
yeah.
You guys, Trisha just said she called not to get the upsell. It wasn't about the commission. It's because she was looking to actually better understand what someone wanted, the situation they're in, and provide a solution, not because of the bonus, but because she cared. And I want to make that bridge because yes, you should follow up and have a conversation instead of just sending the link. It will lead to more sales. But if you do it with the intention that Trisha is transferring to us so eloquently here, you're going to get the results that she's getting. And Trisha, thank you. You're not just telling the story. We can feel that that's the real heart
I
and that
hope
you really
so.
care.
I hope so, because really I am so, because again, like at the end of the day, we don't want to be pitched to, right? Does anybody love to be pitched to? Like, no, we want to be authentic. And I hope that that's what Reed just as loud and clear from me, and the legacy that I leave is that not everybody's going to be our customer, and that is perfectly okay. It is, we just got to help those that need our help. So I'm glad that's what you sense, because that's truly how I feel. And people can sense that when you're up against a bonus and you're like, "I just need 2 more sales to get this massive thing." People can feel that. They can sense that. And there's a time and a place. I think we've all done it. Can you do me a favor? I'll give you a gift card, whatever it is. I think we've all been guilty of it, but people can feel that, right? So be authentic.
I want to be mindful of your time, and I want to leave, some time for any closing thoughts you have or any kind of last words you want to share. But before we do that, I want to go through something I've done with most guests on this show. And it's just like a super rapid fire round. This is just no right or wrong answer. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. First thing that comes to mind in like a short statement. It could be 1 word, 2 words, short statements, but no more than kind of like 1 statement. And it's really around my obsession with shifts. So shifts is more than just the name of the show. It's like an obsession. Like I truly believe that a single mind shift at the right time, and it's got to come at the right time, person's going to be in the right state, but like a single shift can change the trajectory of someone's life. And I believe that, and not only from my journey, but story after story. And we've heard that in your story here today. So I love just trying to extract kind of from my own list, but for the lists of all our listeners, those significant shifts that have mattered most. So my question for you more on a professional level, and you've given us a lot in this conversation. If you were to narrow it down to like one most powerful, most meaningful shift professionally that has led you to where you are today, what shift would that be?
I have to say it's the retreat that I mentioned, just attending something that surrounded myself with influential people that have already, in my opinion, made it, putting that in air quotes, surrounding myself with folks like that. I would say that by far gave me a whole new belief system in myself and what was possible in the industry.
I love it. So same question personally. So like in your personal life, however, and whatever that means to you, what's one of the most significant shifts personally that has allowed you to become who you are today?
Yeah. And again, we've covered some of this already, but the thing that really has shifted me personally is that morning routine, taking control, getting control of my life back and creating really strict boundaries of when I work and when I don't work so that I don't lose myself to my business because it can take over if we let it. So I've just appreciated creating big boundaries and things for myself.
Such a simple thing. They can be such a big thing that we all could do. We all could do.
Yep.
Last question. This is more of a visionary question. I know you like kind of casting the vision. And this one makes me smile because I think about the power of community-based marketing, direct selling, affiliate marketing, all the names we call what we do. To me, it's all the same thing. We're all on the same mission here, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of us. A last stat I read from the DSA was something like 115 million people that are all united in this direct selling space and growing. And I guess kind of like fascinate on if you could give every one of those distributors, consultants, promoters, reps a single shift, like right now, you could snap your fingers and every single person across this whole channel will have a simultaneous single mind shift. If you had that power, what shift would you give?
Belief in themselves for sure. And if it's not there, who can you borrow it from? If you're like, but I just don't know how to get it, then go find someone that is where you want to be and latch onto them and talk to them. Just hang out with them for a minute because I like to say, if I can do it, anybody can do this. So I would just wish everybody to have belief in themselves because I do believe we need to stick together. This industry is so powerful, life-changing in every way, shape, and form. So I love what you're doing on this podcast because I just believe we can all learn so much from one another. We don't need to buy everybody's products. We can learn just simply by being in the same room with someone. So I would say belief and go find someone that's where you want to be and just be mentored.
So good. Amazing ones. I'm adding those to my shift list, and I hope all of you out there will do the same. We've covered a lot of ground today, everything from your story. I love you sharing that vulnerable moment where you went through the haters crying and then how you got through it. I know we all can relate to that. Your passion for personal growth and development. You've given us simple systems we can apply to go audit our own circle. Right? Have the conversations, find a new circle, have a morning routine, like all simple stuff, and also some tactics on business. I love the tips on customer retention, and I think kind of the theme really has been caring, a genuine intention of caring and going back to the human element. So I appreciate we've covered a lot of ground, so many great takeaways. Is there any closing thoughts before we round out? Anything else you want to share? Anything else on your heart that you want to share with all the listeners before we round out today's conversation?
I don't think so. I'm just, again, super grateful for the opportunity. It's always good to kind of articulate, where you are and just reflect on the past as well. And I'm just excited. If you're listening and you're in your first year of business, then just hang in there. This really has changed my life in every capacity, financially, but as we talked about, emotionally, mentally, physically, even physically, you realize you can crush goals in business, you can crush goals in your fitness and everything else in between. So let it change your life as it has mine, and hang in there. Just hang on to your mentor and do what they say. Learn from other people's mistakes. Be coachable. I would say let's end with that. That my most successful people that I enroll and mentor are coachable. They're willing to learn from the person that is bringing them in. So be coachable. That's all really what it takes at the end of the day. Be coachable. learn
I
from
love
others.
it. And you gave us so many things in this conversation that we can adapt. So let's be coachable starting right
Right
now with
now,
this
do it.
conversation.
Do it.
There is so much that you can apply. I don't care if it's your day one, your year one, or you're at a decade like Trisha. There's amazing nuggets from today's conversation that if you apply, it's going to move your team, your business, and your life forward. So don't take this lightly. And I'm a big believer that a shift is a gift. And one of the reasons, well, really the only reason we're having conversations like this is to make an impact on you. And now you have the ability to pay that forward and make an impact on others by simply sharing this. And you never know where people in your circle are at right now. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what they're fighting and what they're going through. And you just sharing the conversation might be that right shift at the right time for that person that helps them level up in their business. So share it. We appreciate it. If you got something from today's conversation, let us know. We read the reviews. We're on all the places. You can listen on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're on Audible. You can watch us on YouTube for those that want to see Trisha's face. It's even better on video, but share the link, leave us comments and reviews, and tell us what we're doing to make an impact. I've been getting questions a lot lately on, oh, how do we get on the show? So-and-so would be so great on the show. You guys, we listen to your feedback. Matter of fact, everybody who's on the show, they're nominated by someone that they got inspired by them. Trisha is here because someone said, you got to be on this show. And you guys have that power. So if there's someone on your mind or your heart that you think would be a great future guest, directsellingshift.com. That's the website. And there's a button there to send a nomination. You can also suggest topics. And by the way, we got a new social profile live, Direct Selling Shift, all the places, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, brand new. We're finally up and running. It's a new show. Took us a minute, but amazing content from this episode. You can go share some amazing clips from Trisha and this conversation, along with some other guests right there. Follow the channels, directsellingshift.com. Trisha, thank you so much for your time away from your family, away from your team. This has been an absolute amazing conversation. We're blessed to get so much of your experience and your wisdom. And just thank you, not just for being here, but thank you for being here fully, giving us your energy and leading every day the way that you're leading to show us an example of the power of caring and the impact you can make in this world. So thank you for our conversation today.
Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Until next time, everybody, take care.